Hello again. I've been thinking about recovery quite a lot recently, and that reminded me of an ultra-distance runner. He did a stage race from the north of France to the south of France, about a marathon a day. He was having all sorts of problems earlier on in the race. His legs were swelling up, he was having to spend a lot of time in an ice bath at the end of each stage, and of course he was getting problems from the heat because it was in the middle of the summer. And I suggested that he tried running a bit faster, which seems a bit counterintuitive. But it worked, and the reason it worked is because he got more recovery. So he was spending less time running and more time recovering. He started pulling through the field, and he got faster and faster the more he recovered. And he ended up finishing in the top 10. How does that work? Well, in training, you know that the more recovery you get, the better you're going to perform, or the harder you can go, the faster you can go. If you have a hard session and you have 2 days rest, you're going to be able to work harder than if you try and work hard every day or something like that. And the same is true for stage races. So if you run a little bit faster, you're spending less time on your feet, and you've got more time for recovery. And perhaps one of the unique things about running, in contrast to things like cycling, is that you can't really recover very easily while you're doing it, because one of the main fatigue mechanisms in ultra distance running is actually muscle damage. So unless you stop, you don't stop damaging your muscles. It's not like you can recover certain energy systems if you slow down a bit. Like if you've gone anaerobic and you slow down a bit, then you recover that energy system. But you can't stop doing damage to your muscles unless you actually stop. So actually getting that extra recovery makes a huge difference. When you pound on the ground, you're stopping yourself coming. If you're going downwards, when you hit the ground, you're stopping yourself going down, but your muscles are contracting, so the muscles are lengthening at the same time as applying a force, and that's what they call an eccentric contraction. It's believed that causes muscle damage. So by reducing the time he was running for, he had more time, he was stopped for longer, and therefore he could recover for longer. There are a few other factors as well that I think were important. I've mentioned the heat. He was in the heat for less time. He wasn't used to running at that speed. An 8-hour marathon isn't something that he's used to. So by changing his pace to much more closely match his natural rhythm, his biomechanics improved, and that eccentric loading reduced, and therefore the amount of muscle damage he was getting over the 42 kilometres or 50 kilometres of each stage was a lot less, and therefore he had less to recover from. So it might seem counterintuitive to go faster, but actually there are various good reasons to doing that. So quite a short video and a simple message, but I thought it would be useful to relate that story, some real evidence that going slower, or what might seem to be the best strategy in a race, may not be the best strategy in the race, and actually going a bit faster could actually be better and more effective